All right. Hello, everyone. You all right? As you can see, my name is Jordan Young, and anytime I speak to people, I like to sort of label the conversation with a text. And today, the name of the text is Bob Marley, but that's going to make sense in a couple minutes, all right? So first of all, I want you to picture this. A few months ago, I think it was a while ago, I got booked for a shoot. So by trade, I'm a gaffer, which means I work in the lighting department. I work with photographers, I work with DOPs, and we handle all of that stuff over there. But for this shoot, I got booked as like a boom operator. So I have like a qualification called an iPath, and it basically allows me to operate scissor lifts, and do you know what I'm talking about if I say like a scissor lift or things like that? Yeah, so just like big machinery. So I thought nothing office, yes, fine, decent day rate. I've gone there, and I'm met by the biggest piece of machinery I've ever seen in my life. Didn't know what it was, didn't know why I was there, or if I was even qualified to actually deal with it. And the person who hired me was just like, yeah, I need you to move this for me for a second. I said, yeah, cool, give me a second, I just need to go to the toilet. In the toilet, YouTube, Google, everything you can imagine to basically work out what this was and how I was meant to deal with it. Lo and behold, after about 10 minutes, I went out there, confidently managed to maneuver all of it. I was there for 2 days, and you would have thought I was the best boom operator in the world. So the moral of the story is, don't worry, everything will be all right, just like the Bob Marley song. So it's a great song, but the message behind it is even greater. At the end of the day, it's a very testing period in your life, 15, 16, 17, 18. There's a lot of things you're going to be unsure about. There's a lot of things you're going to be apprehensive about. But trust me, as long as you position yourself in a way where you understand how to learn, you're confident and you believe in yourself, you will be fine no matter what you do, whether it's photography, whether it's media, whether it's anything in life, because you might pivot as you get older. So I've got a few aims for today. My main aims are to give you an overview of my experience and basically explain a bit about me and what I do. Explore how to help you get into work and get work experience for yourself, because that's going to be an important thing as you start to leave college and leave school. Explain the difference between working as a freelancer and working in a company. Talk about AI a little bit and where the industry is actually going, because you're coming in at quite a weird time, so it's going to be helpful for you, and answer your questions. So quickly, I just wanted to go around the room and I actually want to know what you lot are interested. What are you interested in? It's Shay, right?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Videography and music videography.
Okay. Perfect. What about you?
I do have no.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
I
That's
do
cool.
have a book, so that's my main.
That's good anyway. I run a business, so I'm going to touch on relevant subjects. What about you?
Well, I'm interested in art direction.
Sick. What about you, Adama?
And like maybe advertising.
Cool.
Holly from photography and music.
Perfect.
Charlotte and portrait photography.
Perfect.
And like sports media.
Good.
Holly in media, film, TV.
Good.
Emily advertising, marketing.
Good.
Like
Good. All right, so it's going to be an interesting chat. I'm not specifically going to talk about one thing or bore you with lighting. It's much more broader. It's much more going to apply to all of you and how you can sort of have your own lane. So first of all, who am I? My name is Jordan Young, as it said at the first page. 27 years old. I'm a gaffer and spark by trade, as I said, so I work with the lighting department. I own my own lighting company, and I've also recently started a new platform for filmmakers to actually get jobs on. I'm a young dad, and above all, I'm an absolute legend. So go ahead.
Sorry, were you on educated in
East End. Yeah, I was. To be fair, that's how I know Miss, because we went to the same secondary school. Yeah. It was in our school. It was years ago. It was like 12 years ago now, isn't it? So,
I saw you on TikTok like last month.
yeah. Yeah, we can talk about that at the end. I'll try and be. What's the time? Define naughty. Define naughty. Can talk about that after. But yeah, so why should you listen to me, or what do I have that's worth saying? Because I'm an absolute legend. No, I'm joking. In all seriousness, I'm experienced. It's real, relatable experience, and it's real stuff that you're actually going to need to know if this is sort of a journey that you want to take. So these are the two companies that I have. So one's London Lighting, that's the lighting production company. One's Find My Filmmaker, and I'm going to talk about both of them. So London Lighting, it's a lighting production company, so dry hire and wet hire, which basically means we operate lights on shoots. So mainly continuous lights, less sort of like flash photography, but worked with a lot of photographers, worked with a lot of different areas, loads of music videos, commercials, documentaries, like just a real range of experience for the last 6 years, I'd say now, working at quite a high level. Had multiple staff members between 5 to 10 across the years, so I understand what it's like to actually hire people, I understand what it's like to work with people. It's sustained me financially. I've been able to actually live off of it. I've been able to holiday. I've been able to support my family, and that's the same as my business partner and anyone who's worked with me as well. So financially there's an actual lane there in the future. And yeah, it's been a really cool thing that I started a few years ago, but I want to actually talk to you about how it started. So we started in 2020 in around August, and it was when that COVID period was. You lot would have been young, you lot would have been like 11, 12, if maybe even a bit younger. So yeah, but it was very random. You lot all sitting in here have an advantage over me, as I was 21 when I started London Lighting, and that was the first time I ever picked up a light or even showed any interest in filmmaking, whereas you lot are 17, you're already there. So you have 4 years head start, so be confident. It was very random how it started. I'll give you a quick backstory. One of my older friends, he had like a music studio, and he knew that we was a bit younger, we'd be able to sort of brand it a bit better than him, get a few young people in, and that's all it was. We went there, and then in the garden, we thought, we should probably make a little photography set back here, because it was probably a space maybe this size of the room. So we literally just built a sort of white code photography set. And then after a couple of months, we realized people kept bringing lights. And there was a day where my business partner called me, and he was like, Jordan, someone just brought lights. They brought these tubes, which were called the stereo tubes. They set up 4 of them. They made £150 in 4 hours. We need to do that. And that's literally how it started. And I say that to say it was very random. It was very naive. And all it was basically seeing someone do something and thinking, why can't I do that myself? It's a naive approach, but it is a realistic approach. As long as you can see something, you actually can do it. Obviously, you can't just learn how to sing randomly tomorrow or have the talent of Messi on a football pitch, but within reason, there's a lot of things you can do. It's just going to take a bit of learning and a bit of mishap. So that's how it actually started. And then after that, it went really well. In the first few months, we messaged hundreds of people. I would literally go on Instagram, type videographer, type photographer, message them, hey, we've got lights, do you need anything? And just using that outreach, being really, really persistent. Then we'd get a job, use social proof, take loads of pictures of what we were doing, BTS, before and after everything, put that on our page, people would see we're doing work, and it sort of just spiraled to a point where getting booked. At a point, we was doing 60 to 70 shoots per month, making good money, having really good experiences, could hire people in, so I didn't even have to do some stuff myself, and it was just a really cool thing to do, and we've been doing that for the last 6 years. And it goes up and down, but for the most part, it's been a very sustainable business. These are some of the quick things that we've worked. There's too much. If I could literally fill a whole slideshow with the amount of shoots that we've done. We've done well into the thousands. These are just a couple cool ones. Like even the other day, I done the Chelsea team photos, so all of their pictures, met all the football players, done literally Central C Little Baby, loads of music videos, loads of commercials, loads of stuff, fashion shoots, everything, you can name it. So yeah, that's a bit about London Lighting. Find My Filmmaker is birthed from London Lighting, so that started maybe like a year ago, and it's basically a platform that's going to be relevant for all of you lot, and it's a jobs platform. So we help connect filmmakers with clients, and our main thing is to give visibility to filmmakers. So you could go on there tomorrow and say, I'm a photographer, set up your profile. Whether you're inexperienced or not, it doesn't matter. You'll have a profile where people are actively searching for someone that might have the qualities that you possess, and that goes for everyone in here. So that is this. It's growing. It's going to do very, very well, in my opinion, and it birthed out of me dealing with issues in industry, issues with hiring people, issues with payments. These are more like freelance-based issues, but there was a lot of stuff. I just thought of something, and again, I saw someone doing things, so why can't I do that? And then, lo and behold, I built an app, I built a website, I built whatever, when I've had no experience in tech. And I'm not a special person, I promise you. I'm not going to sit here, I'm not the smartest person. I've done well in school, I was decent GCSEs and that, but for the most part, any of you in here, you're probably even more capable than me because you're going to be more switched on at a younger age. I didn't really get switched on until I was about 21. So that's Find My Filmmaker. When you go home today, check it out. We also have a platform that we're in collab with called UK Film Work. If you're ever interested in trying to get work, we literally post stories on Instagram where you could be an extra, you could be a photographer, you could be whatever, and you can just message the person directly who's hiring for that job. So little things like that to just position yourself where you can get a bit more of an opportunity. And this is going to lead me straight into the first point I want to talk about today, and it's about getting work. So if you're interested in getting work opportunities, then here's what you need to know. Put your hand up if you're interested in getting work opportunities, or if you will be in the next couple of years. Good, it should be pretty much everyone, because you are going to leave here soon and you're going to be out in the big wide world, and you're going to need to know how to operate out there. And I'm going to try and help you lot do that. So first of all, you don't need to be the best, you just need to be visible. That's something that I really want you lot to understand. A lot of people feel like they need to be the best, or they'll have imposter syndrome, or they'll think, oh, like, this person's so good, like, I've got no chance. No, you just need to be visible at the start. There's 3 things I'm going to break down what you need, and none of them is about being the best. So you need to be visible. If someone sees you, it needs to be obvious what you do. If you was to say to me, you want to get into directing, and I was to find you now on your Instagram or your website or your whatever, does that reflect someone who wants to be a director? You don't actually have to answer. I'm just saying it's a rhetorical question, but that's what you need to ask yourself. Am I positioning myself in a place where I can actually even get noticed for the thing that I want to be noticed for? Especially on social media, TikTok, Instagram, all these places nowadays, you have your own media company that can allow you to portray yourself in a way. If you go on my Instagrams, if you go on my stuff, you're going to notice me for exactly what I want you to notice me for, which means if you need that, you're probably going to hire me. Again, when it comes to portfolios, show reels, CVs, it's not about what you have, it's about have you got anything. You don't have to have the best portfolio in the world, or say you worked with Cole Palmer, or say you worked with this person. No, you just have to have something to prove what you're going to speak about and back up the confidence that you have in yourself. And also make the work that you want to attract. You need a job for experience, but you need experience for a job. So it's a very difficult thing, especially when you're getting started. But think about ways that you can do that. If I want to go and get into sports, someone said they want to get into like sports media. All right, cool. Chelsea might not book me now, but if I go to a Sunday league game and I start taking pictures of random people and I go home and I edit them and then I post them, it gets a bit of traction. People are going to know me as that person. And next thing you know, I'm getting hired by Sunday league teams who need a photographer, and that's my way in. You get 3 or 4 people as regular clients, you're going to make good money, you're going to get loads of practice, and it's genuinely that simple. A lot of people they just either don't know what to do, or they sometimes are a bit scared about what to do. But you need to really focus about how are you making yourself visible if you want these opportunities. The next thing is you don't need to be the best, but you need to be available. There's a very good saying that you're going to start hearing as you get older, and it's availability is the best ability. Are you available? I'm someone who hires people. I've hired hundreds of people over the last few years. So I can tell you one of my biggest pet peeves is when someone has persistently reached out to me to try and get an opportunity, and then when I come to them with the opportunity, they're not available. And there's a bit of nuance to it. So it's not like I'm going to message them and they're saying, all right, cool, my wife's in labor, I need to be there for this. I'm not going to be like, all right, cool, you're useless. Like, there's obviously going to be an understanding. But say, for example, if I message you tomorrow and I say, Shay, look, I've got this opportunity to come and run on set with me. Do you want to do it? And you're like, oh, it's my friend's birthday party, I can't make it. I'm probably never going to take you seriously again. Or the shift to make me take you seriously is just going to be so like gravy, it's just not even going to be worth it. So try and say, especially at the start, try and say yes and find a way to make these things work, because it's really important and first impressions do actually matter a lot. Put yourself forward for things. Are you messaging people? Are you like, and it's not about now, it's just more I want you to think about these things across the next few years. If you're trying to get work, are you messaging people? Are you actually putting yourself out there to even get some of this stuff? You have to be persistent. You have to bother people. I promise you, I get messages all of the time, and the people that actually get through to someone like me are the people that bother me, because there's a lot of noise that you need to filter out. Imagine all of you message me tomorrow. Who's going to have the best chance of getting through to me? The person who messages me twice, 3 times, 4 times. You might feel annoying, but at the end of the day, if you become useful to me, no one's going to care that you're annoying. No one's going to remember how it started. You're just going to be useful to me, and we're going to work together, and now you can leverage each other. So you need to actually just remember that. Also, be very useful and be very skillful. At the end of the day, if you're a brilliant photographer and you're a brilliant photographer, you're both 10 out of 10s, and you're both applying for the same role with me, I'm going to start needing other things to dictate who's probably the better person for me. So now if you're a 6 out of 10 editor, but you're a 10 out of 10 editor, who do you think I'm probably going to pick out of both of you? The person with more skill. If you drive, she doesn't drive. Like, it's just different things. It depends obviously what you're going for, but if you have more skills, for the most part, you're going to be more useful, because now if I have an editing project, I can just stick with you. If I need things to go a bit deeper, it's just much easier to use the person who's more useful. So skill up, try and learn other things. It's not about being a jack of all trade and wasting your time learning everything, but having basic knowledge in different areas is going to be much more helpful, especially because you have free time to learn a lot of the time. So be available and be seen. And then the last one is, you don't need to be the best, you need to be in proximity. So are you going to position yourself in places where you have the best opportunity to get work? First of all, using job platforms, networking groups, especially things like Find My Filmmaker. At the end of the day, platforms like that are where people are literally coming to find people to work. If you're in a place like that, it's a lot easier to be seen than being in a place where no one's looking for anyone working. Are you positioning yourself in the right things? Have you signed up for profiles? Are you applying for jobs? Are you actually doing these things? And again, this is not an attack on you now saying you need to be doing this now. I'm aware you're at school. It's just in the next couple of years, these are the stuff that you're going to need to do, especially any of you that are actually interested in trying to get work now, because you're not too young, it's fine. I know 17-year-olds that are working now, and it's fun for them. You learn quicker. Assist. Get on set any way that you can in the start. You might be a photographer and you might love photography, but if there's a runner opportunity, if there's a camera opportunity, if there's a production assistant opportunity, still go learn. It opens you up to an environment where you start seeing things you didn't even see before. And now you might not even love photography as much as you thought you did, because you see art design and you think, oh, that looks amazing. And it's just like, it sort of opens you up to a space that you won't know until you're there. And then, yeah, messaging people again and again. I want to really let you know it doesn't matter about being annoying. It doesn't matter about being persistent. I promise you, no one's going to care after the fact. It's going to become obsolete, and as long as you're relevant and helpful, it won't matter. The people that come to my mind that I've worked with over the years, I promise you, they've messaged me multiple times. And then some of them ended up being the closest people to me. Do I think of them as annoying? Of course I don't. Do I think they was maybe a bit annoying at the start? It is what it is. As long as you're not pestering someone, still, yeah, you need to be persistent, because at the end of the day, you need to, in life, go and actually get what you want. And closed mouths don't get fed. It's very, very simple. So those are the 3 things. I'll just quickly run over them again. Being visible, being available, and being in proximity. So that's about how to get work. Part 2 is more about freelancer versus in-house sort of salary stuff. And yeah, you're going to need to decide which lane that you want to take, because there's pros and cons to both. And it's not exclusive, so it's not like, all right, cool, I'm deciding I'm going to be a freelancer, I need to be a freelancer. Does everyone know what a freelancer is, for starters? So it's just basically someone that's just a bit more free, essentially, and they'll just get hired. So I get hired onto jobs. But for example, someone who could work in my company as an employee, they'd be in-house or salary. I might pay them for the year and they work exclusively for my company. Or I could still hire freelancers as a freelancer. I could hire Shay, sorry, because you're the name that I remember, so I'm gonna keep talking. I could hire Shay to come and work for me on a job and then pay him. But it's much more the fact that you need to sort of know the pros and cons, and you need to know what you prefer. And I'm not gonna tell you everything about them, but I can tell you some of the stuff that you're gonna need to consider. So, for example, when you look at sort of freelancing and in-house salary sort of contract jobs, the main difference that you'll say is sort of freedom versus stability. And I use those terms very loosely because they can go both ways. So you can think that a freelancer or being an entrepreneur, all of that stuff is exciting, and yeah, I can be on the beach working, and then when you actually become one, you realize you've left a 9 to 5 to work 9 to 9, and it's a lot more demanding than you think. And then you can also think, all right, cool, I'm gonna go get a job where I have a salary, I know exactly what's coming in every month, and I have this security, and then you get made redundant. And suddenly that security is not secure anymore. So I use these terms very loosely, but for the most part, a freelancer is a lot more independent, a lot more free, a lot more you have to sort out everything yourself, which means you can pick your routines and stuff, whereas opposed to in-house sort of salary is a lot more, you're under a bit more of a strict regime, but you have the stability of getting paid every month, knowing specifically, cool, I'm here 9 to 5, and then that's going to be done, vice versa. When you consider stuff like this, you need to look at things that you love. So for example, does anyone here love traveling? Yeah. If you love traveling, being a freelancer might be better for you because you're going to have more flexibility to travel than you would usually in a traditional sort of role. So when you're contracted, you're only allowed to travel a certain amount of times a year within reason, and you usually need to ask permission for it. With a freelancer, if I wanted to go to Jamaica tomorrow, I could go. Obviously, there's risks and there's pros and cons to both of that. If I now go to Jamaica, I'm not going to get paid essentially, or if I get sick, I might not get paid as a freelancer, whereas if you're in a contracted salary, you have a lot more guarantees. You get annual leave, you get paid for certain things. So it's you need to sort of work out what works best for you in your life, and that will determine which sort of lane that you want to go to. But it's questions that you're going to need to ask yourself because it's quite important. Again, pay and pay frequency. Me, I'm able to dictate what I get for specific jobs. So I could charge someone £300 for something, or I could charge someone £1,000 for something. My monthly earnings are going to change and fluctuate every single month. It could be literally £5,000, it could be £50,000. It's literally all going to depend. Whereas if I'm more in a structured role, I'm going to sort of have that stability of knowing what comes in every month. There's so much it's so hard to get into deep level of it, but for the most part, it's just understanding what actually suits you when you consider some of these really important factors in your life. And then again, skills and areas that you're good at. Some people are going to be more suited to entrepreneurship, to freelancing, because if you're better at managing multiple things, you're probably going to be better at entrepreneurship, because I've got to do my taxes, I've got to sort out my finance, I've got to sort out the business side, my marketing side, my sales side, as well as my creative side. Some people might not want to do that. You might just want to turn up, take pictures because you love the creative and you want all this stuff sorted out on the back end. So being in a contracted role might suit you better. There's no right or wrong answer. There's no exclusive answer either, but it is something that you're going to need to consider. So yeah, whether you're a freelancer or in-house sort of salary contract role. And then the last thing I want to talk about is the elephant in the room, and it's AI and where this sort of industry is going, especially to anyone who is interested in photography, videography, and raw filmmaking. To be fair, anything, no matter what you're interested in, AI is going to be a thing that is probably going to be more prevalent over the years. So the truth is, we just don't know what's going to happen. All right? No one knows what's going to happen. There's actually a couple of options. There's multiple options really, but I'm going to break it down into two. Option one, it takes over. we're all cooked. It's this massive thing that now replaces photography, replaces the need for having a director of photography on set, and it's going to look really bleak in our industry. It's going to look bleak in other industry, editors, all of these things. That is one option. The other option is it's a bubble that bursts and then it actually slows down. So what you see in society sometimes is these really bubbles that are inflated by the amount of money that goes into it, and sometimes they do actually burst. So if you do research around AI, you'll see that the cost that they put into it is significantly more than what people are actually willing to pay for it, which means where are you getting the money to fund it? So things like data centers, all of these things, it costs a lot, like a substantial amount of money to make AI work. And if they keep pumping money into it without, like they're putting hundreds of billions of pounds into a year and then charging a £20 ChatGPT subscription, and that only 5% of people actually using the platforms are willing to pay. So I'm not going to bore you in numbers, but there's a real chance that it's a massive bubble that bursts and then things slow down. Even the other day, I don't know if you all know, do you know what Sora AI was? Yeah, that closed down. So because it was just costing too much money. So these things can happen. Regardless of what happens, you should be preparing for both. At the end of the day, you need to take this seriously because technology is something that tends to prevail. Miss, I'm pretty sure the phones that you see now wasn't around when you was growing up. They,
I remember like 1999,
yeah,
the dinosaurs, and the millennium, we were all told like everything was going to like, all of our technology, like our computers, everything was going to like be corrupt.
yeah,
So there's like this conspiracy theory going around, like, oh my god, it's 1999, year 2000, everything's going to go like bug out. That's
yeah,
what we all thought.
yeah,
And when my husband at the time said to me, that I bought him the first iPod, he went, this is going to take over. I went, don't be stupid. Because back then we all had our CDs in like cabinets, we had all like everything. I was like, don't be stupid. He was like, I tell you, this little
thing.
pop iPod, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
It actually happens.
Sorry, let me actually just, because these cut out after
Do you
half an hour.
think it's still worth considering a degree in photography given AI? What's
Um,
your opinion on that?
I'll go into that specific question in a second, but my opinion with AI in general and everything is AI won't take your job, but the person using AI probably will. So learn it. Like, don't just pluck your head in the sand. I feel like a lot of people just sort of just want to hope that it will go away, and the same people that were writing letters who would have hoped that emails weren't going to be a thing are probably not around anymore. Technology does move, and the digital version does tend to take over and supersede the analog versions before it. It's just one of those things. So it doesn't mean that it's going to wipe you out. It just means that learn the tools, try and learn, especially as you're young. You lot are much more like, your brains are malleable to these things. Yeah, like understand prompts, understand how to actually use some of these tools to make your work better. You got to think, there's so many, like, there's so many people that are so, they still don't understand anything about AI. You lot are probably using it every day on ChatGPT, on this, doing that, blah, blah, blah. There's multiple people that are in generations above you that won't even understand. So even the opportunities that you have to even teach them to do things that they won't even see as possible, it's much more likely that you using these skills will be able to have a chance rather than just the skill being by itself, and just, because it's still not that easy, and I don't think it will be that easy to just go and AI everything for a while. Like,
I think there'll be jobs that don't exist.
yeah.
That we can't even like. When I was growing up, did I ever think anyone would have a job being an influencer? Did I ever think
This is that
I'd be
perfect.
watching TV on my phone? Like,
Yeah.
it's crazy. Probably jobs with AI, we've no idea what the jobs are going to be because they don't exist yet.
Yeah, like literally, even when you think literally what you said in terms of the content creation, in terms of YouTube, like that wiped out a lot of TV essentially, which means thousands of jobs would have been lost in TV, loads of stuff would have been descaled over there. But then you think of all the jobs that are created in content, in influencing, in YouTube, in all of these areas, it's like sometimes it just gets replaced. So it's not, it might be a thing where certain things that you know now aren't the same, but there will be an alternate option for you anyway. So it's not something to panic about. It's not something, if it goes left, then we are all in the same boat. So we're all going to be cooked together. So it's not worth worrying about because, yeah, like we're either all cooked together or we're not going to be all cooked. So do what you can with it. But I don't want you to be scared or think, oh my gosh, like, it's not that. It's just notice it is something that is there, just like technology would have been there. Yeah, like all of these things are there. Notice them, research them, be ahead of them, and then it becomes a lot less scary. And again, it goes back into just upskilling, learning as much as you can really. So here's a bit of advice for you lot. But it's sort of like, yeah, this sort of goes across whatever you're doing. Finding a niche is really good, especially at the start, because it gives you a nice like lane into something. So some of you are a bit more specific in what you said, like I heard sports. Some people might want to get into fashion. So speaking about photography here, sports, fashion, weddings, and then you can go even deeper. I might want to get into specific sports, football, motorsports, women's sports. I might want to get into high-end fashion, streetwear fashion, whatever. Like really honing in and finding the niche is important because it allows you to stand out in an area. If I turn around tomorrow and say, oh, I want to be a fitness photographer, and you think of how massive fitness is, it's going to be difficult. If I turn around and I say, I want to be a fitness photographer for people with a specific disability, for example, it's much smaller, but it's going to be a lot more targeted. The reason I grew quickly in my industry was because it was lighting, and it was much more for lighting for like an urban scene at an affordable price. It was very niche. If you needed it, I was one of the main people that you're going to come to. And that is something that I would recommend you lot doing at the start, making yourself be like one of the main people that someone can come to if they think of something. So try and see what you like. Try different things, like it's okay, but try and niche down and be specific with it because it will help quite a bit. Finding your own signature style, again, really important. And that will tie into what the niche that you do. So for example, say you love concerts and you want to do loads of concerts, and you make sure that every video you do is like a really specific or really fast edit with certain transitions or whatever, like your visual style sort of seeks through. It's the same thing with everything, your content style, if you're making content, your way of business, if you're doing business or economic, anything, like having your own style is really good so that if someone sees something without even knowing it's you, they know it's you. It just translates better and it lets someone know what to expect from you if they're hiring you, which is really important. And yeah, focus on like just a few solid relationships. People make things this massive thing and like they think, all right, cool, if I'm going to go into this big wide world, how am I going to get loads of people? And one of the mistakes that I made when I was running my business at the start is I was always focusing on how to get a new client, when you don't actually need to do that. There's something called the Pareto's law, and it basically is like, it's an 80-20 rule. So it will be like 80% of your income will come from 20% of your customers. Or even when you look at like the wealth in the world, it will be like 90% of the world is with literally 10% of the people. So it's like a lot of the time, if you just focus on the people that are most important, just a few relationships, you'll actually go a lot further than the person who's just constantly trying to get new people. And that was something that I learned way too late, and I wish I learned it sooner. So I'm giving you a lot of that now. It's some free game. 3 to 5 people, even if you think numbers as a photographer, say for example your day rate is like £400 and you have 3 clients that book you like twice a month. And that is not hard to, I told you we was doing 60 to 70 shoots at one point. So imagine how much people I needed to actually hire for jobs. If I was someone that was hiring you as a spark, which is like the person who would work under me in my industry, you could probably count on me to hire you 2 to 5 times per month. So if you had 3 of me hiring you twice a month and your day rate's like £400, do the maths. That's like £2,400 that you can make in a month from working 6 days. So it's like when you actually do the maths, when you understand the power of just having a couple solid relationships, it will give you a lot more confidence in being able to actually go out there, be a freelancer. If you don't want to be a freelancer because it's not for you, because there's obviously a lot of things that revolve around. What's the time, by the way? Okay, cool, that's fine. I'm almost done. Yeah, if you don't want to be a freelancer and you want to work more in the contract way, that is fine. But still, just find what works for you. And again, just focus on having solid relationships with people. Have a really solid relationship with the owner of the company or whatever, you'll always have a job. So just solid relationships are really important. Don't worry about working with everyone. Create simple workflows, so make your work life as easy as possible. If you're a photographer, have your folders that you drag specific things into, have your effects ready, have all of these stuff. Like, try and make work that you do that feels mundane just really simple, and it will feel much less boring, and it will speed up the time that you can actually do things, which is really important. Setups for different situations, for example, you know, if you're shooting in daylight, you have your specific camera, your specific settings with your specific flash or whatever. If you know you're shooting in a concert, you have your specific gimbal for this, for that. Just make your life as easy as possible because it will feel a lot less stressful. And the last one is collab and practice as much as possible. There's like 11 of you in here. Like, for example, say you needed to make a short film, you could all work together to do these things, and now you have the work to show, to try and get more stuff. Like, a lot of things are a lot more simple than people actually make it out. It's just our minds. We like to make things much bigger than they are, much more complex than not. Try and simplify things sometimes, and I promise you, you'll be so surprised at how far you can actually get, or like how much something can work. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, thank you. That's it. That's my YouTube if you want to follow it. And yeah, that's the Instagram and that's the app. And now you can ask any questions that you have, and I'm happy to answer them. Go ahead, Shay.
In this industry, do you feel like going to university is important or finding a
Yeah, that's a perfect question. That's something I actually missed, the university thing. For example, I gave you my example. I didn't go to university. I actually missed that whole thing, and I wasn't even interested in filmmaking area until 21, whereas I know people that are in uni. University, it just depends. Again, I feel like you have to ask yourself these questions in terms of what do you actually like. If you're someone who, because there's more to university than just learning. So if you want the social experience, if you want, like, there's a lot of things about university that's good. My personal opinion is I don't the university wasn't for me, and I knew that. And I feel like I'm someone who works if you're someone who works practically and you're a kinetic learner, it's much better to be out there getting experience from 18, because between 18 and 21, what you can do out there versus what you can do in university is very, very different. And you're going to work a lot faster, if I'm just being honest. Plus, the learning materials nowadays are so good. You have AI, you have YouTube, you have all these things. I'm very much self-taught at plus learning on set, and I know all of the stuff, and I probably know much more than most people who would have gone to university, because I've worked in 100 different experiences. University can't prepare you for stuff like that. Nothing can prepare you for the worked experience other than a worked experience. So it just depends. But that's not to put down university. Is good for a lot of people, especially if you want the social side, if you want accountability, if you want to do certain things. But if you're a practical person and you feel like you'd be okay in the big wide world, sorry, let me put down silence. You'd be okay in the big wide world, then I wouldn't recommend university. But it just depends. University is also expensive, so essentially.
What would you like say I would do that? Is there any courses that you've done you recommend?
Yeah, courses, online ones. There's places like Udemy that you can go on, and you can find small courses online that might cost you like £30, but you can learn so much. Again, places like YouTube, like it's genuinely invaluable. You got to understand, people think YouTube is free, so free advice is going to be worse than paid advice, which is why something like university should be valued more, because you're paying, but you're not understanding that people are getting paid for the advice they're giving you on YouTube. So it's packaged to you as free. But if I go and make a YouTube video with 100k views, I'm getting thousands for that. So I'm going to put in advice that's worth thousands. So if you just shift your thinking and understand that just because I'm getting something for free, it doesn't mean that it's not valuable. You'll start to understand that there's loads of ways to actually learn without needing to go to university or go to school. It just depends on what is for you. Some of you lot in here are going to suit university. Some of you in here are going to suit apprenticeship. Some of you in here are going to suit physical work. I can speak from my experience and tell you I built a successful company in the industry without going to university. I know a lot of people that didn't go to university as well, but I also know a lot of people that did go to university, and there's pros and cons to both. So me personally, I didn't go to university, and you don't need it. To answer the question, you do not need to go to university, but if you want to go, you can still go. Any other question? Anything? No. Any apprehensions? Anything? Yeah.
I was wondering, how, it's a bit of a silly question, how can I get started in doing something photography based if I don't have a camera? Is there something I can start doing for schoolwork that can give me a good head start?
Well, in terms of camera, first of all, you can rent, you can borrow, you can speak to people. There's people like me, for example, that I give my equipment to some young people sometimes. So I had a group chat where there was a few people that I had on a little mentorship, and I would just give my stuff to them for them to use for free. So it's about, again, asking people, getting out there, seeing how you can be sort of savvy about things, because there are a lot of people that will help you as a young person. There are ways to rent things as well, if you know what Fat Llama is. So for example, if you planned a shoot, you could rent a camera on Fat Llama for Fat Llama. It's like an app. It's called Higlo now, actually, but it's like a peer-to-peer renting app, for example. Yeah, it's very, very easy. You could get a camera for £30 and things like that, and it's use it for a day, you practice, you do whatever. You could make a whole project with that. Or, for example, one thing is really cool if you're sort of thinking from a business mind frame, it's leverage. So, for example, imagine I position myself in a way. This is more after you get a little bit of work that you've done. Imagine I position myself a way where I'm saying, cool, it costs £200 a day to book me for photography. I turn up with this and that. As long as I know that I can cover the cost, I could take a booking without even having a camera. So if I know it's going to cost me £30 to rent a camera, £20 to rent a lens, and £10 to get an ND filter, I could still go out there, even though I don't own any of them, say to someone, yeah, give me £200 to shoot this for you. They give it to me. I use £60 of that to rent the stuff, and then I keep the rest. So it's just about, as you get older, you'll start to realize ways to be a bit smarter about things. You'll realize that you don't actually have to own something to make money from it, the same way Uber don't own any of the cars that they have under their fleets, but their whole business is cars. And it's that's more like business. But yeah, it's there's ways. And there will be charities and little things like that you can message as well, or filmmaking companies. Just try your luck. You'll be surprised. Unis give out stuff for free as well. Sorry, that is a perk about uni. You will get access to free kit. So it's how you utilize it. And that is just the thing. A lot of these things are tools. How are you going to utilize them? You can go uni and make a real mess of it, or you can go uni and utilize it much better than most people. You could be independent and make a real mess of it. You could be independent, utilize it much better than most people. So it really comes down to you. And that wasn't a silly question. It was a very good question. Yeah. Any other questions? Or any apprehensions? Anything that you want to know?
You talk about music
Yeah. One thing that I always say is like write a letter to someone. I actually think that's a really interesting way to reach out, and it's a way that because you got to think when you're reaching out to someone, especially someone that you perceive to be busy, you're cutting through the noise. So it's like, if for example I'm on Instagram, all 11 of you DM me on Instagram, it's just like I've just got 11 people asking me for something. For example, now say you sent me a letter, and a way to find out where someone lives is if they've got a registered business. You can go on Company's House. You can literally find out someone's address. It's not that hard. Send them a letter. I open all of my letters, so you're gonna get through to me. You might not get a response, but it's much likely I'm actually even gonna see it. Another thing is position things in a way where you're not just asking for something. Someone like me, I feel like loads of people just ask me for things. Ask, and it's just like, oh, today maybe not. I haven't got. Did it message me? Oh, you know I'm an Arsenal fan. You might realise something about me that's relatable, and you just speak about that, and I'm going to reply to that because that's a conversation I want to have. And now you've broken the barrier of even getting through to me. Then maybe later you can position it in a way where you ask me for something, or do you know what I mean? It's going to feel less like you're just using me, and much more like you actually cared about something I had to offer, or oh, Jordan, I saw your video earlier, man, that was sick. Gas someone up, yeah, flatter me, yeah, cool, yeah, thank you, bro, like I love that, and now we're talking. So it's like, just try and think of ways to fit out, to stand out from everyone. And usually those are the best ways.
It's good to think about what you can offer someone. So it's like, can I have like, this is a bit about me, this is what I can offer. You could be offering like free work, like
100%.
it could be like I'm free over the summer. I'm free like if you need any runners, if you need tea making.
100%.
Kind of got to, I guess, humble yourself to be like, I will make
And
the tea or just support you or carry you around.
yeah, and it doesn't matter what level you get to.
Offering something
Yeah,
feels good.
100,000%. Like there's a couple people now that, for example, I've been building like my sort of personal brand, so to speak, doing more talks, doing more content stuff. And there's a couple people that have just constantly been supporting me, like a few young people, and people that want to reciprocate things. It's like if you want to do something for me, if I notice that you're doing something for me, I'm going to want to do something for you. Do you know what I'm saying? Like just naturally, it's a law of reciprocation. So if I feel like there's certain people that are helping me right now that I'm feeling indebted to them almost, that I'm going to help them one way or another. Try and do that for people. And it will work. It's just you might not work the first person that you do it with or the second person, but trying to be a bit savvy about things, be a bit smart, you'll be fine, 100%. And that goes for everyone in there, no matter who it is. You'll be so surprised how certain people get through to certain people that they should never get through to, but they were just persistent or they were smart about it. And yeah, literally. Any other questions? Anything? But yeah, you'll be fine. You're in a much better position than I was, I promise, to get into this industry. So yeah, perfect. No worries. I'm very, very happy I could come.